Hello everyone and welcome to another movie review by Centipede Geek. Today I'm going to review a film by the name of Heaven is for Real. This film is directed by a guy by the name of Randall Wallace. It is actually based off a book by an author by the name of Todd Burpo, and supposedly the film is also based on a true story. Now that whole true story thing, it really depends if you're a religious person. If you're a religious person, if you're a Christian, you're gonna say, okay, this is based on a true story. But if you're not a religious person, then you're not going to think the film is based on a true story. But supposedly the film is based on a true story. Once again, like I said, if you're religious. Anyways, it stars actors by the name of Greg Kinnear, Kelly Riley, and Margot Martindale. Now, Heaven is for Real is a very religious film. Obviously with the name, you can obviously gather that. It's pretty much about a film about a kid who has, he has sort of a near-death experience. He doesn't actually die. Spoilers coming up. Not really real big spoilers, but minor spoilers coming up. This kid develops some sort of fever or disease, and he doesn't die, but he has, I guess you could say, sort of a near-death experience, and he ends up believing that he goes to heaven, and then he comes back. And while he's in heaven, he sees, family members and that sort of thing. He sees different things. He sees God or Jesus, whatever you want to call it, and then he also sees heaven. And then he comes back, and it's sort of the families and the towns, and that's pretty much what the whole movie's about, is the family's reaction to that, and then the town's reaction, and the Greg Kinnear, who plays the father of this child, he is the pastor of a local church, and it's pretty much him struggling with his beliefs with God, and sort of doubting whether or not the story of his child is true. And once again, it's based off that book, or true story, whatever you want to call it, right? So here is my review. That's pretty much the main plot of Heaven is for Real. So what did I think of Heaven is for Real? Was it a good movie? Overall, I loved Heaven is for Real. It was a really cool story, a sentimental and emotional story. It was really one of the things that gathered me most. I've always been sort of fascinated, I guess you could say, with religious concepts and just sort of, I guess you could say, just religion in general. And so anytime religion is brought up, I always just get sort of interested. And so that's what first, captured me about Heaven is for Real. Just this really interesting and just, I guess, this intriguing and fascinating story about a kid that believed that he went to heaven or not. Now, let's not talk about whether or not it's true or not. Let's save that for another time. But let's just talk about the movie in general. I really enjoyed that. Just a cool concept. And I guess, it comes from something, apparently. But I just, that cool concept about this kid that goes to heaven and then he comes back and and him telling his story. That right there is, that right there, that concept is a 10 out of 10 stars for me, because that was just really cool, and overall it's fascinating to watch. Now, characters, I really enjoyed Greg Kinnear's character. He was really cool. His character is written in a great way. There's some great scenes with him that are really cool. One of the particular scenes, and I believe the scenes in the trailer, is when he's sitting in the room and he's sitting in the chair and he's yelling at God, and then later on his son tells them this. And apparently, according to the true story, that was partially true. So, it's really interesting how, how these parallels can exist. But overall, I really enjoyed Greg Kinnear's character. He plays a great character, an emotional character, a sentimental character, a character that's written greatly, and you can really see that he is struggling with his beliefs in God. I mean, he believes, but he is not sure, how much he believes. He doubts. I mean, all of us doubt, right? And he doubts with this whole concept of his son going to heaven and back, and he doesn't exactly know how to deal with this. So I thought that was really cool. I also thought his wife, by the name of Kelly Riley, she was also a great actress in this film. She's just really cool, and she's almost with the whole rational side of it. She doesn't believe, and it takes, major spoilers coming up, it takes her a while for her to believe. And there are some great scenes with her where it says, okay, you need to focus on this life, not the next life. And that scene in particular towards the end of the movie is the scene I really enjoyed with her. Margot Martindale is also a great actress in this movie. At first, she's with the whole church council, and she doesn't believe at all. She says, we need to focus on the church. We need to get a new pastor in because this pastor's gone crazy. So that's the sort of character she plays, and that's until she decides to make do or make amends with Greg Kinnear's character towards halfway through the film, and then really sentimental scene at the end. She ends up major spoiler kind of, she ends up seeing I believe it was her son that died in the military. many years ago. So that, once again, another just a great sentimental and emotional film with some great acting, some great characters, and overall just a solid concept. I mean, even if you're not into religious films, I recommend checking this one out because, just be a little more open-minded, even if you don't like religious films, because this one can really pull some heartstrings. But if you are into religious films, I definitely would recommend this one also. I sort of recommend this film to everyone because even if, it's really interesting the way they depict heaven. I mean, they don't actually show, I guess they show heaven at times, but they show, major spoilers coming up, they show clouds, they show sort of like, angels, so that's really interesting how they do those sorts of things. I just think it's sort of fascinating just looking at those concepts, just kind of on a surface level, looking at those concepts and going, that's interesting. Especially towards the end where they actually, you get to reveal, I guess, what Jesus looks like, the eye color, the hair, and it's not the classic look we know as in the paintings and the pictures we see. He actually, I believe he has like bluish greenish eyes, and then there was another girl who was seeing the same person. So that whole story is just really interesting to me. Whether it's true or not is to let the viewer decide. But to me, myself, I just think the concept's just really interesting. So overall, I really enjoyed the film By Heaven Is For Real. A straight up 10 out of 10. Probably one of my most favorite films out of the year so far. Once again, thanks for watching another video by Centipede Geek for my movie review of the film The Name of Heaven Is For Real. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to my page below, and I'll see you guys later with more videos.